Lake Placid, the final chapter, which is obviously bullshit, the final chapter, is the fourth film in the Lake Placid franchise. And this one literally continues where Lake Placid 3 finished. To the point where Reba is waking up in the corner store from being unconscious and faces a crocodile, and the crocodile starts to growl, and she's like, "Really? You want to do this again?" And then ends up shooting the damn thing, and credits, or the opening credits roll. So I like that. I like how it like started right where like you could splice them together kind of thing. Unrated once more. We got another TV film, so perfect B film. And guess who we have in this one? Robert Englund. Anything that Robert Englund shows up in, he's gonna give a good time. It's just the way it is. You know, you got Freddy Krueger in there. Freddy Krueger, I mean. It's gonna be wacky. He always gives it his all too, just like Michael Ironside in the last film. He always does a good job. So we have another sheriff taking over the last sheriff, who took over the last sheriff before him. This time we have a female sheriff, and there's actually two sheriffs, I could say, because they kind of have a love interest with each other. But the main sheriff, who kind of makes most of the decisions in the town because the male sheriff is going to leave real soon, is this female sheriff named Teresa. And she has a daughter named Chloe. And these are the main two characters you're introduced to at the beginning of the film. Now, the film basically starts where you're introduced to this plot where they're trying to build this fence around this lake. So what they're trying to do now is completely contain these crocodiles so they have absolutely nowhere else to go. And Reba is hunting a bunch of them down at the beginning of the film with this group of guys. They end up catching one, and they end up bringing it back to this area, this closed off area that's closed off with these like electrical fences, and there's like one gate to get in only, kind of like a Jurassic Park thing where they're maintaining the dinosaurs in these electrical fences and keeping them completely away from everybody else. They're doing the same thing here. So Reba, I find it funny that Reba right at the beginning of the film is surprised to see a 20-foot gator, being that it was mentioned in the previous films that these gators can grow past or over 30 feet. So there's a scene at the beginning where she's shocked to see a 20-foot gator, and I'm like, why? The one that she captures at the beginning of the film with these guys is like 5 foot, and then they see another one that's 20, and she's like, oh my god, a 20-footer. It's like, maybe there hasn't been one in a long time, but that can't be true, because in Lake Placid 3, the last film, there was some pretty big ass ones that I'm pretty sure crossed the 20 to 30 foot mark. But that happens. So yeah, it starts off with where they're explaining this whole thing. As we know, Reba is all about killing animals, so she wants to get the fuck rid of all these crocodiles. She doesn't give a shit. She's seen the destruction that they cause, so, you know, she wants nothing to do with these crocs being alive. But this female sheriff, Teresa, does want to keep them alive and does want to keep them contained. And there's a scene where Reba, she needs to give a speech on how she's like agreeing with Teresa, even though she doesn't at all. And you can tell the bullshit she's spewing out of her mouth. She's like, yeah, I forget exactly what line she says, but basically she's saying like, yeah, we should contain the crocodiles, when really what she means is I want to shoot them all in the friggin' head. I found that funny. And she's still the same Reba. She's a beer drinking, animal killing, badass fucking bitch. Best character in both these films, 3 and 4, for sure. Excuse me. Chloe is invited to go to this trip, this beach trip, that's being, like, it's a bus trip with a bunch of swim team kids or something like that. They're going to this beach, and what happens is this fence, the gate is left open because the kid guarding it, he heard like somebody scream or something like that, so he opened the gate and he left to go investigate, but he forgot to close it. And this bus, the bus driver, first of all, has no idea where he's going because he's an idiot. He's watching videos of strippers on his phone while driving the fucking bus. Almost hits a deer accidentally, like he has to swerve and he misses the deer, thankfully, and then he doesn't hit anything, so he keeps going while still watching strippers, and then he drives right into this enclosed space where they basically go to the wrong beach. They go to the beach that is enclosed and absolutely filled to the hilt with crocodiles. So, because of this bus driver, now you have this bunch of kids, a coach, and the bus driver himself, in this really dangerous situation. Teresa and Lofson is the male sheriff that's about to leave. They have a romance going on, but she doesn't want to sleep with him because he's going to leave so soon, and she wants something serious. He, goes all playa and tries to convince her to do it anyway, and he has this whole romantic dinner with her with wining and dining and all that. And of course, lo and behold, they do end up sleeping together, which she semi regrets because, again, she knows that he's leaving, but it happened anyway. Chloe also has a love interest with this guy named Drew, and Drew is like very handsome looking kid, but he has a girl that he's with that he's always like making out with and kissing her, but uh, there's a scene where he's sitting with Chloe at night, like under the moonlight or something, and he ends up kissing Chloe, which she goes for, even though she knows that he's with another girl. Now it turns out this other girl, whose name is Brittany, who's also very hot, by the way. Chloe and Brittany are both hot as hell. It turns out that Brittany is his ex-girlfriend, not his girlfriend. He's not with her at the time. But when Chloe goes to bed, as soon as she does, Brittany comes out like 10 minutes later, and she's like, for old time's sake, and that's kind of the hint that you got that they're not together, they're exes, and he's like, yeah, well, Chloe's in bed, or Chloe's in her tent, so whatever. So they go to the bus and they start fucking. But yeah, like, clearly he's the douchebag, but the unfortunate thing about this film is that you never get Chloe realizing that he's a douchebag. Usually there would be a scene closer to the end of the film where she has a realization. She's like, "Oh my God, how could I be so stupid? I kissed him and I shouldn't. I'm such an idiot or whatever." Like, and then he's like, I'm sorry," and she's like, "Fuck it, no." Usually you would get that, but it doesn't happen in this one because Brittany ends up dying fairly fast, and then she starts to get the hots for the one kid that opened up the gate, and then things just start to blossom kind of thing with them. So Drew is kind of like left, that whole plot is just kind of let go of as soon as he has sex with Brittany, and then the next day he's still like messing around with Brittany or like acting like they're dating kind of thing. So they kind of like just let that plot point kind of go pretty much. Mrs. Bickerman comes up as a campfire story, like a campfire scary story, which I kind of found neat because they always include Mrs. Bickerman somehow and the Bickermans somehow in these four films, and I like how she came up as like an urban legend almost. I found that kind of neat. There's a scene where the bus driver is taking a piss in the lake while there's these two girls being stereotypical topless and splashing each other. And he's pissing in the lake and he's just smiling like a creep, like, "Ew." And it's just like the chicks are like, "Oh my gosh, you perv, why are you pissing in the lake?" And he's like, "The whole world's a toilet." This is fucked up. And then the chicks leave. They're like, "You're such a pervert," and he's like, "Bite me." And then guess what happens? A croc bites him in the dick. Fucking love B movies, man. Fucking love B movies. There's actually a cool scene in the lake when one of the kills with mini crocs, and it reminded me of one of the piranha films because the crocs are about the size of the piranhas, and they all come swarming like piranhas, and they start nibbling on the dude, and then the water around him starts turning red, and These crocodiles just won't stop chomping, and I found that really neat to add like mini crocodiles in the vein of like a piranha style film. I really liked that part. Um, I think this entire I'm not going to say the entire cast, but I'm telling you, everybody that I looked up is British in this film, doing an American accent. Everybody like is making an American accent, and pretty much everybody I looked up, it's like British. Brittany, British. Chloe, British. Lofson, the male sheriff, British. Everybody, man. And then I start listening to see if I could like catch them trying to do an American accent, and a lot of them I do. Some the Drew douchebag British. He was actually in Skins, the British version of the show Skins. Yeah, I just is this a British production, or did they just coincidentally cast everybody British? I don't know. But yeah, I that's a thing. Like I'm everybody in this film, every actor in this film might be British. I don't know. Well, except for Rita. Rita's American, but other than her, yeah, I was impressed to see that. Brittany, her death, she gets caught in a trap and then beheaded by a crocodile. Again, the CGI, it's like the third film. The third and the fourth are very much alike. You can splice them together when it comes to the CGI and the practical effects and I just said CGI, and the acting and the story and the themes of it, they're pretty much identical. They're very 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 similar in that sense, comparing them to the second film and then the first film. Three and four seem the most alike. And then we have, of course, how can we forget Robert Englund's character Jim, who is a poacher, and he's just greedy. He There's a plot point where he brought this guy named Dennis because Dennis is he wanted to collect some samples of the crocodiles, and for enough money he bribed Jim, the Robert Englund's character, to bring him into this place, this lake, knowing the dangers of everything. And like I said, he's a very over the top character. He's he's slimy. He's like that piece of shit character that is very like gun friendly, but is just completely in it for himself. Like, you know, lo and behold, he doesn't really care about anything else but getting his money, and turns out he's actually related to Bickerman as well. He's a cousin of hers. So they really do a lot with the Bickermans. There's a part where he ends up stealing the crocodile's eggs because, of course, they're going to be worth something, and and his death is really cool because he ends up accidentally falling on the eggs and crushing them right in front of the, I guess, mama crocodile, and she's waiting for him, and she's waiting for the kill and waiting for the kill, and she just like grabs him, and it's a really awesome kill. We find out too that the crocodiles are actually starting to eat each other because once they're in this cage, they start to run out of food, and then they start to become cannibalistic. So that is mentioned in this film, which I found interesting. By the way, as I mentioned at the beginning of this film, this is so not a final chapter. Even the ending of the film is like, okay, now the lake is crocodile free, and then a crocodile eats a chick, and then credits. So, like, why they called this the final chapter, I have absolutely no idea. First of all, you know it's not going to be the final film, and second of all, the ending doesn't conclude anything. So, I don't know why they threw the final chapter in there, but yeah. I really like, probably my favorite scene and my favorite like climatic scene in this film is when Teresa, the sheriff, is at the fence at the gate. The gate's closed, and she's shooting the shit out of this crocodile as it's approaching her real fast with a shotgun, and she's just blasting and blasting and blasting him, and then she dives out of the way as soon as the crocodile's about to pounce on her, and the crocodile hits the fence and just starts shaking and electrocuting himself, and she's just like sitting there like all like almost Sarah Connor style with her hair and everything. I really like that. I really like that like she almost like tricked the crocodile. I really found that, I really appreciated that anyway. And yeah, other than the ending making no logical sense, this film was again um, pretty close to the third one. I don't know, maybe the third one's a hair better because it had a little bit more going on, but this one is definitely more of a contained one, and the story's pretty cool. It you know it's another addition to this B movie franchise, and it's all right. It's there's not much bad to say about it other than if you don't like B movies and if really bad CGI is not your thing. Like I said, Brittany and Chloe, man, they are pretty. Chloe is that perfect type of girl that never stops smiling and giggling. Like she is so sweet and down to earth and like never stops giggling, never like at everything. She's just happy all the time. And Brittany, although she's a bitch a lot, she has that face. She has that perfect face that if it wasn't for her attitude, she'd actually be pretty like perfect. So both girls are hot as hell. Both girls' bodies are hot as hell. But Chloe just has that girl next door that, makes her just that little bit more superior than Brittany, who's also gorgeous and has the best ass I've ever seen. Um, Gotta mention the chicks in this film. You know, it's a B movie. If you're going in for girls, if you're going in for good looking girls, you're going to get them in here too. So, Killer Crocs and Hot Girls. That's the best B movies you can ask for sure. So yeah, that I guess concludes the first four films, as the final chapter says. But like I said, there's no point in calling it the final chapter. Let alone even if there wasn't any films coming after it, because the film doesn't conclude as a final film. It just makes absolutely no sense. But what can you say about a B film? They are what they are, and that's pretty much it. Subscribe to Morgan Film Fan if you like to listen to my voice or if you like my film reviews. I'll be back with some more. There's lots on the channel, so if you want to stay tuned, the subscribe button is right there, and check them out. I'll be back with more sometime soon. So until then, have a great night, take care, and cheers.